Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. This is the crazy troll nation of YouTube. The crazy because we just have fun on our channel, and sometimes I'll be acting a little nutty, and it's okay. And the troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. You set the standard for yourself. Try not to feel like you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool or a certain technique because somebody else said so. Use whatever you want to use in whatever way you want to get your makeup on the way you want it. You need to be happy with how you look. I want you to accept yourself for who you are and for how you look, even without face paint on, which means embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, but not feeling like you have to. That is the basic concept of the crazy troll nation. I do use foul language on my channel sometimes because I use foul language in real life sometimes. I do try to censor myself here because I know it is offensive to some people. I know some of you are like, oh, we don't care. But I don't want to be offensive and I don't want to shock anyone. And so that's why I say this in the beginning of most of my videos. Why are we here today? This is a collab with Tanealya. I asked her about doing a collab because I really enjoy her content. I love that she's a mature person like myself, meaning neither one of us are 20. She might be 25 though, but neither one of us are 20. So we're mature people wearing makeup, enjoying what we do. We try to be informational. She does reviews. She does Shop My Stash. And I just really enjoy what she does. And she does other things on her channel aside from that as well. And I have been watching her, not in a stalkerish kind of way, for a long time because I do enjoy her content. And I was just watching her videos, and one day I'm like, I wonder if she would like to collab. And so I messaged her and she said yes. And so our topic that we're going to talk about, that we're going to share with you, is our makeup journey. And I did talk about this a while ago, and I had been wanting to do it again for newer people who are here and who are watching me. So if you're new here, welcome, and I'm glad you're here. If you're here for the first time, I hope you enjoy this video. I am a little nutty. Be warned. Yes, and I know that I am. I did not start wearing makeup until I was about 34. My sister was the social one, the popular one, the coordinated one. She could dance real well, dress real well. I was always just like, I just didn't get it. I was a tomboy. My sister and I were the oldest, two of the oldest, because there's a cousin that's older than me, but he really wasn't around much. And so I kind of forget that my sister and I are not the oldest. And so it was my sister, then me, and then the other cousins. And quite a few of the cousins just underneath me were boys. And there's one cousin that's 6 months younger than me. And my great-grandmother, she had a house in the country, like in the woods. Like in the woods. The woods. And we would stay with her and run around in the woods, play in the woods. And, you know, just, I was a tomboy. I mean, I didn't mind getting dirty, which is weird because now I don't even use my hands for makeup. I'm like, that's just gross. And so when I think back, I'm just like, what happened to me? Like, I have changed. But I think it was just with the territory. Also, I love camping. And, you know, you want to get dirty, you want to be outside. So I think it's just the environment. And being home, I'm like, I ain't trying to be touching that cream blush. That's nasty. I don't even use my hands for primer anymore. So anyway, I didn't start wearing makeup till I was 34. And that was because for my second marriage, I'm like, I want to wear makeup. And I remember hearing about Bare Minerals, you know, tap, buff, and swirl. It was so stupid how enthralled I was with tap, buffing, and swirl. So it was, this is Fashion Fair powder. And as you know, and this is going back to, what year was this? 2004? You know, powder foundation. So you tap it into the lid, you swirl your brush in it, you tap the brush off, and then you buff it on. So I'm like, I want to tap, swirl, buff. And I was just so like, I want to tap, swirl, and buff. And it was the stupidest thing because that's what you do with all powder products, right? So I'm just like, I was so new to makeup. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, that's revolutionary. No, it wasn't. And so I went away for work, and it was in Minnesota. Mall of America is there. And I'm like, I'm going to go to a Bare Minerals store because I want to tap, swirl, and buff. You know, they could not match me. And they were mixing different powders, and they just didn't match me. And you see my complexion. Like, I'm not, like, you would think it would be easy to match me, but I think it's my undertone because stuff just was looking ashy. It was looking gray. It was looking pink. It was looking pale. And so I went down the hall to Sephora. And this is when Stila was like, ooh. And so they tried different foundations on me. Nothing was matching. They put the Stila on me. And I'm like, put another swipe. She put a swipe and And that was my first love in makeup with Stila Cosmetics. And back then I had a channel. In 2007, I started my channel. And it was Stila Junkie 07 because I was a Stila junkie. And if I like something in a brand, I'll branch off and try other things within that brand. So I had their primer. It was a swirl primer. They had the 4 different colors in it. Their liquid foundation. I had some blushes. I had a ton of their eyeshadow palettes and the singles. I had the lipsticks. I had the convertible colors. I mean, I was like all about Stila. And then I got bored and branched out to MAC. And then going back to Sephora, Makeup Forever, and then NARS. But anyway, it started with Stila because of the tap swirl buff thing that didn't even work. And because I'm like, I want to just be pretty. I grew up self-conscious about myself because I was always chunky. And I know y'all hear me say that. My sister, she's built like my dad's side of the family. Thin, small frame, eat whatever, and still just look, wear like a size 8. High school, I wore a size 12. Like I was, junior high, I was a size 10. Like I was always on the heavier side of everybody else. And so that made me feel self-conscious. And I always kind of had a little pudge in my stomach area. And so I was always self-conscious, okay, don't wear form-fitting shirts because that's going to accentuate the pudge. And, don't wear straight leg jeans because that's just going to, my thighs are going to rub together and then they're going to chafe the pants and that's going to ruin the clothes. And it just wasn't cute. And so, and so I was always self-conscious about how I looked. And that's because I was comparing myself to other people, which is not a good thing to do. It's not a healthy thing to do. And people in my life didn't care. So like I cared more about how I looked than other people did, which is really great when you have people that just like you for you and they love you for who you are. And sometimes we are our own worst critics. So anyway, so I got matched to the Stila foundation because I'm like, okay, I wanted to do my makeup for my wedding. And actually a person was supposed to do it, but they got there too late. So I ended up doing my own makeup for the wedding. And so I had someone in Sephora, they do the makeover thing. And I bought the foundation. It was the Makeup Forever HD foundation and the primer to go with it and the setting powder. And as far as the eyeshadow look, I said, I'm going to go to Walmart and dupe this out. So I had her do my eyes and I really liked it. Future hubby at the time was with me. And so we left Sephora with the foundation and the primer because those were the hardest things to match. And I had been playing around with matching from drugstore stuff and Walmart, Target. The shades were never right. They were just never right. And so when Sephora matched me to Makeup Forever, okay, now I had the Stila still, and then I had the Makeup Forever. And eyeshadow, I'm like, I could find these colors elsewhere. So we did go to Walmart, and I'm holding up an eyeshadow palette. Does this look like this color? The blush, does this look like this color? The lipstick, does this look like this color? And so that's what I bought to do for the wedding. And so, and after that, I just kept wearing makeup because it was fun. I just enjoy, even now, like just sitting here at my station, putting on makeup. It's me time, it's self-care time. It's like shut everything away. And this is something that I do just for me. And then I started working. I wore makeup every day to work. Weekends, I really didn't. He didn't like me in makeup. And that was a mom thing for him because his mom never wore makeup. And I'm just like, I'm not your mom. And so anyway, I would leave for work while he was still asleep because he worked second shift. I worked first shift. So I would get up and do a video, do my face, and go to work. And when I came home, he would still be at work. So then I would just wash my face off. That was a red flag too, because you should not have to hide what you enjoy doing because the person you're with doesn't like it. Think about that. And so, and I've loved it ever since. And, trying different brands, went to the MAC store. They matched me with some stuff, all of MAC's liquid foundations, primers, anything liquid from MAC breaks my face out. So that's how I got the powder products. But then when I hit pan, I got to throw it away because I have an allergic reaction to nickel, which is what the pan is made out of. So I only get those on sale because I know once I hit pan, it has to go in the trash. So anyway, my makeup journey started wanting to tap, buff, and swirl with bare minerals. Didn't happen. I was matched to Stila, love that. And then from there, Makeup Forever and NARS and MAC. And it's just been an enjoyable journey. It's been an enjoyable ride. The reason I didn't wear makeup prior to 34 was because my skin was not even. Even if you look at my face now, I do have foundation on, I have on powders, but my skin, even though it's evened out, it's all not one color. And if you've seen any of my videos with me with no face paint on, which there are quite a few on here, my under eye discoloration is more prominent than it is when I do have stuff on. And my skin, it's not one even color. I do have an overall golden undertone. You can see it here where even it looks a little olivey, it looks a little greenish in here. This here is the shade of my chin area and my forehead area. But I'm golden overall because you see a bunch of the yellow, the gold. And my cheek area leans a little neutral. And so even without face paint on, my face is not one complete shade, and most people is not if you really look. And so having as much trouble as I did with drugstore foundations not matching, and when I mixed, it still never looked right because the undertones were wrong. I have at least 3 different undertones. Golden overall, olivey here, and neutral leaning here. And so one foundation may not do that. And when I found a foundation that does that, that's the one I stick with. And I use the Estee Lauder Stay in Place Double Wear. I can wear the 4N2 or the 4W1. Fenty, one of their newer shades, is not new now, but 335. That's what I have on now. And also the Fashion Fair Powder and Truly Tawny, which is like my skin tone shade. I use that to set the Fenty, even though I don't necessarily need to because it dries down matte. And so when I find a foundation that I don't need to mix and that it is my shade, that's what I stick with. And so because I was never able to get my face even, I'm like, why put on lipstick? Why put on eyeshadow? Even I do have some videos doing eyeshadow looks and don't have on a base face, so go figure. And so, but that's why I didn't wear makeup, because I know I'm not a pig, so don't think I'm saying that I am or thought I was. But I'm like, if I put on lipstick, the rest of my face isn't even. That's like putting lipstick on a pig. Like, you can still see stuff ain't right. So why highlight the lips? That's how I felt. I didn't wear lip gloss. Always wore chapstick. Not in this video because we got stuff going on. But most of my videos, you will see me start with chapstick, whether it's makeup related or not. But it was just like, why am I going to accentuate my lips when nothing else is even? And I've always felt that way. And so when I found the foundation that matched, I'm like, we all in, buddy. Give me the bronzer, the setting powder, the primer, the eyeshadow, the blush, the contour. I don't contour because it always looks muddy on me. Can't find one that looks right, so I just gave up. So I use bronzer and contour interchangeably. A bronzer I will use to contour. So that's how we do that. And I don't contour my nose because this is my nose and I accept it. Big ass nose and I love it. It fits my face. I got a big face. And that goes back to just accepting how you look and loving how you look. And so that was how my makeup journey started. And so it branched off into other brands. And how I got into MAC was I had so much Stila products. And at this point I was doing videos because people who I was watching and commenting on kept encouraging me to start a channel. And I'm like, ugh. And so I finally did. And one time I asked, you know, what shadow brands do you recommend? Because all of my shadows were Stila or drugstore stuff. And someone said, well, since you like Stila shadows so much, you might like MAC's Velvet. Was it? No, Velux Pearl formula. And so I went on down to the little MAC store. I was like, oh. Like there's just a whole store just for MAC. That was new to me because in Sephora there's different brands. Drugstore there's different brands. But they had just have just a store. And I walked in and I'm like looking, and a rep walked over to me. She was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm overwhelmed. She's like, why? I'm like, I've only been in Sephora and drugstores. Like I've never been in just a one brand store. And she was like, oh, I'll help you. And I'm just like, okay, I'm a charity case. But I picked out a bunch of stuff, loved it. True story, crazy story. Somehow I heard about Inglot Cosmetics. There was no Inglot store near me. And I'm looking on the website. I'm like, wow, like this looks really great. And there was a few people I was watching on YouTube that were talking about Inglot. And again, this is back in 2006, 2007, 2008. And I'm like, I want some Inglot stuff. I did some Googling. There's an Inglot store in Garden State Mall on Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. That's like 3 hours away from where I lived at the time. Where I am now is probably like 2 hours away on a good day, meaning good weather, no construction, and traffic's not heavy. And I said, I'm going to go to the Inglot store. I felt like a crackhead fiending. I drove 3 hours. It took me 3.5 because of traffic. I drove 3.5 hours to Garden State Parkway Mall, whatever that mall is called. And it's a huge mall. So I'm looking on the map in the mall. Okay, where's the Inglot store? Went to the Inglot store, and it was the same as walking into a MAC store. It was just like, oh. And I'm like, well, since I drove this far, I think I put together like maybe 4 palettes, because you can custom make your palettes. And so they give you a metal thing, and you can go around and just put shades on it, match stuff up, and then tell them, okay, I want all of these, and they get it for you. And then they're like, do you want me to put it together for you? I'm like, no, I'll do that when I get home, because it was just exciting. The same way now with my Lethal Cosmetics, when I order them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are pretty, and then you put the palette how you want it, and it's like, oh my gosh, so exciting. But I bought a lot of stuff. I bought eyeshadows, I bought liquid eyeliners, I bought the pencil eyeliners, I bought blushes, I bought lipsticks. Oh my gosh. And so I was an Inglot whore for a long time. And I bought some of their loose pigments. And someone asked me not too long ago if I would start using Inglot again. And I'm like, I would need to go to the store because I want to actually see and swatch the shades, which is what I like about going to the MAC store. Lethal, I like how they have the descriptions of the shades, and that helps me a lot. And even on the MAC website they do, but sometimes stuff just be swatching different and looking different. But I've been really pleased so far with the palettes that I've created, like very happy with the palettes I created. So that's kind of been my journey. It's just getting matched in person to a foundation and learning what my complexion is, because different brands, different complexions, excuse me, according to how they define it. I just say I'm tan, but then there's light tan, warm tan, cool tan, neutral tan, tan to medium, and some brands I'm medium deep, and I'm like, I don't even think I'm deep. I mean, intellectually, yes, and emotionally I'm deep, but like complexion wise, I'm like, okay, but it depends on the brand, you know what I mean? Because some brands still don't, they're not inclusive, and so I would be in the deep category for some brands. It was a learning experience, and so not only acknowledging that my complexion is categorized different according to the brand, but also understanding my undertone. And I remember when Sephora had the little tool, they would like do a scan here and then on your cheek and then on your forehead. And I'm like, why do they do that? Because you're not one color. And so they would do, you know, the thing, and it'll pop up a number. I think it was a number and then a letter and then another number. And it would show different foundations that may match you. Let me tell you something. It might show 8 foundations. Only one would actually match me. So that should tell you something too. Like, it's just like, it was just strange. And you know, they're swatching. I'm like, okay, that's too pink. They swatch. Okay, that's too dark tan. Okay, that's too yellow. This is too red. It was just so frustrating is the word. Not annoying, which is what I was going to say, but it was just frustrating. And or it may look really good here, and then you put it up here and it's like too light because my cheek area is lighter than my forehead and my chin. And so finding something that will even everything out and look good. Concealers are the worst. I don't want to brighten under here, because whatever I would put concealer to brighten under here, if the tone is off, if the undertone is off, my undertone under my eyes is not the same undertone as my forehead, cheeks, or my chin. This is a whole nother thing. And it's because of the discoloration. But oh, you need a salmon colored concealer. You need a peach colored concealer. Let me tell you something. They would make me look so gray under here, and it would make this area look sunken in. I'm like, you can say what you want to, but you can't tell me this look good. You cannot, well, this right here, yeah, you can. But at the stores, I'm like, Bobbi Brown was the worst. They put on a color corrector, then a concealer, then a powder. I look like I had the under eye area of like a 107-year-old man that smoked his whole life and never used sunscreen. And they're like, oh, that's cute. And I'm like, bitch, you crazy. I'm just... I was still new to makeup, but I knew that looked dry and cracked and ashy and dusty and gray. So like, you cannot, And I went through some other frustrations because Bobbi Brown, they couldn't match my complexion, even though they tried to tell me the under eye looked good, which was gray and cracked and dusty. So they sent me over to the fashion fair counter. They couldn't match me either. Everything was way too dark. So I'm thinking, okay, the Caucasian brand... even their deepest didn't match. The black-owned brand, even their lightest, didn't match. It was just like, where do I fit? And you would look at me and think I could wear anything. No. And I think it's even across the board, from fairest to fair to deepest dark, that is challenging for all of us to find the correct foundation shade. And I've heard people, they're like, I always pick the lightest shade, and sometimes that doesn't work. And I hear people say, I always pick the darkest shade, and then that doesn't work. I think it's even across the board, the challenges that we have. So don't think I'm saying, I'm special. I mean, I am special. I've been told I lick bus windows. So I am special. But I'm just saying, it's a challenge. And so when I find a foundation that matches, I'm just like, I'm getting 2 backups when there's a sale. Blush is also challenging. I like a certain tone of blush. I love this situation that's going on here. And so your makeup journey, my makeup journey, it was like a 10-year learning lesson of what I liked for me. I was watching a lot of YouTube. I learned how to apply shadow, makeup in general from YouTube. And because things were so hyped up, I would buy it and then I would use it and think, I don't like this. Like, this is not me. And it took me a long time to understand what my aesthetic is. I like colorful. I like darker than this. I like smokier than this. I love me with a dark lip, even though I don't have one a dark lip today. But my aesthetic is dark, smoky, dirty, murky, swamp waterish with a dark lip. And a somewhat neutral cheek, but I do love, some shine every now and then. That's my aesthetic, and I didn't understand that then. And so everything that was hyped up by everyone I was watching, I'm thinking something was wrong with me because I didn't like it. Or I didn't like how it looked on me. I realized I do not prefer me in cool tone shadows because most of them make me look grayish, dusty. I don't like me in pastel shades for eyeshadow because it makes me look dusty. It's just my skin tone and my undertone. And even if people say, oh, that looks really nice on you, and I'm like, it is a nice look, it's just not what I prefer for myself. And so that's what I had to understand is it's okay to like it, but not like it for you. That was another lesson that I had to learn, because a lot of people liked a lot of things that I'm thinking, yeah, no. Like, yeah, it's pretty, but no, it's not for me. And it's still a challenge sometimes, and I say things in my videos a certain way. Like, I do like the look, but it's not my preferred look for me. Because I may really like a look. I don't prefer monochromatic looks, but when I do them, I think it's a nice look. It's just not my preference. And so I say things a certain way on purpose. And so the lesson here is, well, for this part, because I know I'm just going on and on and on and on. Hey, Tanealya, thank you for doing this collab. She's probably like, oh my God, why did I agree with this? She is just talking out of her rear right now. But try not to think there's something wrong with you if you don't like something that a lot of people love. And I think part of the issue is if someone doesn't like something, they don't say so. And so all we see are the videos hyping stuff up. There's a few channels I watch that they will be like, this is not it. They're like, it's dry, it doesn't look good, or it's too liquidy, it's too watery, or the undertones are off. And I appreciate those videos because think of it this way too. If everybody loves something, if everybody likes something, somebody's lying. You know why? Because no one product works for every single body. Not one. So if all you're hearing is, oh, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Something wrong with it. Somebody who didn't like it just didn't want to say so. And that's something I had to learn too, is not to fall into the hype. And with all the new releases that come out every 12 hours, and you're seeing the videos and the first impressions, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's great, I want to buy it. And then you get it, and it's like, That's why I do not, well, let me not lie. That's why I seldom buy new releases. I want to see if people are still wearing it and what they're saying about it 2, 3, 4, or 5 months later. That's what I want to know. And I do read reviews on websites, on the Ulta and Sephora website. Everything does not work for everybody. And if everybody's saying they love it, I'm just like, somebody lying, or somebody just ain't saying so. And, stuff costs money. And so delay your gratification is what I learned. Because I used to go out and buy all the hyped up stuff, and then I get it, and I'm like, I just wasted like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Like, that was stupid on my part. And I had to learn, just slow your roll, troll. And just read reviews and just wait. And also with learning what my aesthetic is, what I like on me. I like me with deeper tones, with darker tones, because I think it pops against my complexion and my undertone. And I do know some people that say, oh, I like wearing certain colors because they bring out my eye color. My eyes are brown. Brown go with everything. You can wear whatever you want to wear. So for me, it's more about, how does it look with my complexion? Like when I look at my entire face, do I like this eye look? Do I like what this looks like and what it does? And that's how I decide. Or if I do swatches, I'm like, And I do swatches on my forehead because that's close to my eyes. Where if I swatch on my arm is not the same shade as my face. And so swatching here is not going to give you a good representation of what it's going to look if it was on my eyelids, if you're using me for a shade reference. And so that's why I do swatches on my face versus my arm. Like, whose arm is this? It looks like a mannequin arm. Like, you see that? Yeah, I don't. But anyway, that's been my makeup journey, just learning what my complexion was and acknowledging that it's different for different brands, learning and understanding what my undertone is, learning what my aesthetic is, learning to delay my gratification and not buy every single thing that's hyped up, just to wait and see, and also to wait for sales. And that's been my makeup journey. And I'm loving where I am right now because I know what I like. I know what I don't like. When I see something, even if I see a palette that I like, I will not buy a rainbow palette. I do not need 5 yellows, 5 oranges, 5 reds, 5 blues, 5 purples. Because chances are I'm only going to use 1 out of each row because I like the darker, bolder colors. And so that means all them other shades for me will be wasted. And so that's something to think about too, is when you see certain palettes, especially if it's expensive, are you going to get use out of the entire palette? And if for me, I know that I will not, or if there's a row of pastels, or if there's glitter in it, or pressed pigments, my lids do not tolerate pressed pigments, it's a no for me, dog. I'm just not going to buy it because I know I'm going to be wasting some of the palette where somebody else would have the whole thing and love it. And I do know that some people buy palettes knowing they're not going to use the whole thing. But for me, it's important to enjoy the whole thing. So I don't feel like I'm wasting my money. I do know, though, for people who are more artistic than I am, they can make stuff work. And so they may get palettes where they won't use everything in the palette, but they do so much stuff with what they use, it doesn't matter. But I don't have that artistic ability to work it like that. I need for this palette to work. I need this whole palette to work for me because I don't know how to work it with other stuff to make it work. I hope that made sense because I think it did and didn't at the same time. So that's my journey, and I know this was very rambly. I am hoping, though, that it made sense. Another thing I want to add, wherever you are on your makeup journey, still just question things. And when you're watching videos, question, like, why are they saying whatever it is that they're saying? And think about, is that something that's going to work for you? If it's a new product, try not to get into, the fear of missing out thing, the FOMO thing. Delay your gratification, watch more reviews, and listen for the people who are not loving it. They may like it, but they may not love it. And I appreciate people who say what they like about it and what they don't like about it, because something they don't like about it may be something you would really not like it for. And listen to when people talk about their skin types. This foundation, I have oily skin, does it work for me? So just really listen and pay attention to what people say and to why they're saying it. I don't like this lip gloss because, you know, it feels too slippery, which means I'll have to keep reapplying it because it'll transfer quick, versus if you don't mind, not a glue filling gloss or lipstick, but something that has a little stick-to-itiveness, meaning it's not tacky or sticky, but it dries down. Like this is a liquid lipstick and it feels comfortable and it's not going to transfer much. I had it on for a while. Look at that. There's nothing. No. Yeah, you see like a very faint circle right there. I've had this on for a while, probably about an hour, but it doesn't feel tacky or sticky or anything. But if it was tacky, somebody might say, oh, I don't like it because it feels tacky, or it never dried down, or it dried down and it made my lips feel dry. And when I took it off, my lips were flaky. So just listen to what people are saying. Listen to their reasonings. If they're just like, oh, I just love it, it's great. Why? Troll want to know. You need to tell me more information. And so also listen to different people and, you know, pay attention to, if you're using someone as a reference, don't just go in their word. You know, look at their skin tone, look at their undertone, look at their facial features, and just try to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And yes, this is supposed to be fun, so I'm not making it seem like you need to be overly critical of every video you watch, but just to think about, okay, if I get this product, will it work for me? And so that's what I want you to listen for and also to watch for when you're looking at videos and listening to what people say. And to really just enjoy the journey. And trial and error can be cost effective when you find something you really like, but it can also have the reverse effect. If you're finding that you're buying a lot of stuff and it's not working, you can be like, okay, that's a waste of money. So shop places that do have a return policy. I don't buy things with the intent to return it because I do think critically 98% of the time before I make a purchase. But in the event that it does break my face out, I'm going to want my money back. And if you have a bad reaction, I want for you to get your money back too, which leaves me away from drugstores. And so if you want drugstores, something or other, shop at Ulta is my recommendation. If you're going for other stuff, you know, look at the return policies on the brand websites. If you can get it from Sephora, you know, get it from there. So the makeup journey is a serious journey, and it's been a long learning experience, and I'm still learning things every day. And if you're someone with sensitive skin like myself, that's another part of the challenge, is finding what works for you and what doesn't, what ingredients your skin doesn't like, what ingredients will set your skin off or burn your skin, or feel like it's burning your skin, or break you out. So that's a whole other topic. And so that'll be it for this video. I kind of feel like I was all over the place, and I really think I was. Like, this troll train has derailed the tracks. But I hope you got something from it. And I hope, yeah, I don't even know what to say because I feel like I was just everywhere. I did have Mountain Dew today. But thank you, Tanealya, for doing this collab video with me. And I'm interested to hear your makeup journey, what you learned along the way, and how you started and how you got to where you are now and the different things that you learned. And that will be it for this video. I will tag her below. If you click on her name, it'll take you to her channel. I will have her video link below if I have it in time. And if you click on that, that'll take you to her video. And so either way, you will be able to get to her channel. And if you enjoy her content, go ahead and subscribe to her, leave her comments, tell her Dion the Troll sent you if that's your first time visiting her. And you will see me in the next video. One last thing, comments are always welcome, and I do reply back to everybody. So leave your thoughts below, share what your makeup journey is. If you do videos on YouTube, feel free to do a video. If you do, tag me so I'll be sure to see it, because I would just like to know like what your journey was. How did you get from the beginning to where you are today? And I appreciate all of you for being here. As always, self-acceptance, self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. You will see me soon. Thank you.